It is the Week 14 Waiver Wire Show, and okay, fantasy playoffs, you're almost here.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
All right, it's the upgrades, downgrades, and waiver wire report. It's available at footballguys.com. It's written by one Sigmund Bloom, and Bloom, you've got some quarterbacks to go over for fantasy GMs out there. Jaden Daniels, I think he might be deserving of his own section here, even though Trevor Lawrence has the same bit amount as he does. Let's talk about the return of Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, it's not quite empty your wallet, but especially, I know we got some folks in the chat room, my man Carl, my man Josh. What's up, guys? It's great seeing everyone here for the live show. We keep doing the waiver wire show through the playoffs because we like hanging out with our people. And if you've been depending on Lamar Jackson and he's sinking your team, you're wondering maybe Jaden Daniels or these other quarterbacks could help me. Jaden Daniels, I don't know if we're going to see him playing week 14 against Minnesota, which might be better anyway, so you can avoid the Brian Flores blitzing. They say that he's not clear for contact yet. He's been practicing in limited fashion, so we're going to watch this. But we know that he has that ceiling in any given week. So I think that we're going to keep him. At the very least, he's one of those players, if he's on your bench and he never comes back, that means he can't hurt you in the fantasy playoffs. And since you saw, if you would have said Marcus Mariota is going to throw the ball 50 times against Denver, I'd say, how many interceptions? How many sacks? 2 sacks, 1 interception? Maybe Washington's offense is getting some things figured out with Terry McLaurin's return.
Yeah, and coming out of the bye, they would have beat Denver if Jaden Daniels was in at quarterback. Tyrod Taylor, Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young.
Yeah,
that's a nice section of quarterbacks.
Yeah, and Trevor Lawrence, I think he's getting it. Jacoby Myers is the man for him. 18 out of 21 targets. He's throwing the ball to Jacoby Myers 21 times, and Myers caught 18 of them. 6 of 6 last week for 60 yards, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Brenton Strange is back. Brenton Strange has caught 28 of 33 targets from Trevor Lawrence. 28 of 33. Just to give you a comparison, folks, Brian Thomas has caught 32 of 63. Okay, about a 50% rate, where you have Jacoby Myers and you have Brenton Strange up there in the 80% range. So now Trevor Lawrence is playing better, and they're letting him run at the goal line. He ran it in on a 2-point conversion last week, going against Indianapolis this week. Could be a dual quarterbacks, and maybe we like Trevor Lawrence better, and he's going to get Indianapolis again indoors in week 17. He gets the Jets in week 15. Denver in week 16, maybe not the best matchup in Denver, but it's time. Trevor Lawrence might be, again, you might be looking at Trevor Lawrence on the waiver wire. Am I going to play him over Lamar Jackson? Maybe. Tyrod Taylor, scrambling, touchdown, throwing the ball to Adonai Mitchell last week against the Falcons' pass defense that has been very tough. Going against Miami this week, but Miami on the road is a little different than Miami at home. Miami on the road is one of the worst teams in the league. Tyrod Taylor playing with a lot of fight. And again, we may get into some situations in the fantasy playoffs if Tyrod Taylor has another good game this week. Am I really playing him over whoever? I mean, like Bob Harris says, divorce the name from the numbers. Bryce Young goes into the bye, and really, I think we're only looking at Bryce Young against Tampa in week 16, but that could be a big game. Not just a big game for the NFC South, but a big game in terms of back and forth scoring. We saw a 38-35 shootout when Tampa went to Seattle. So you might be holding Bryce Young through his bye for just that game, but that's not all on the quarterback waiver wire season.
Yeah, that's not all there as well. Max Brosmer.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's little maybe.
Tyler Shuck is interesting. Had a good second half. Jordan Love plays all of his games outdoors in the cold, but we saw that if he is asked to throw a lot against Detroit, it can come through for you. You never know. JJ McCarthy. I mean, I'd rather have McCarthy on my roster than Brosmer. It sounds like if McCarthy is concussion symptom free, he will get to play. And by the way, this schedule now, I mean, Minnesota's going to get Washington. They're going to get Dallas. They're going to get the Giants. Don't be surprised if all of a sudden everything works because you're playing bad defenses. right? Well, it didn't quite go that way for Denver completely, but judging JJ McCarthy by his last game at Seattle, not at Seattle, at Green Bay, and then Brosmer at Seattle. These are easier matchups. So maybe a preemptive pickup there. And if you need someone out of desperation this week, you're covering Drake May, then maybe Marcus Mariota against Minnesota after what he did against Denver. That rhymes, Cease. Marcus Mariota at Minnesota.
Mariota, as Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico kept emphasizing, tweeting that they'd been pronouncing it wrong his entire career. So much like Tyrod Taylor, we're now going to say Marcus Mariota. So there you go. Ta-ta to you. Ta-ta to the quarterbacks, because we got them all. Now it's time to go to the running backs, and Bloom, for his own section.
Yeah.
We're back with Chuba Hubbard here.
Yeah, and again, see, sometimes we don't, Kierkegaard, life makes sense in reverse, but we have to live it forwards. Fantasy football makes sense in reverse, but we have to go forwards. We thought that, hey, Rico Dowdle's just that much better than Chuba Hubbard, and that's the new order in the backfield. But I think we can look back and say Chuba Hubbard came back from his calf injury before he was really ready to, and why wouldn't you after Rico Dowdle was a world beater in those first two games? Now Chuba Hubbard looks healthy. I just made a nice little portmanteau there. Chuba for my Grateful Dead fans out there. So Mr. Chuba is now the lead back in the sense that he's getting the third downs. He's got the burst. He had a 35-yard catch and run score, and he's going to get the larger share of the backfield. And he outplayed Dowdle. And look, we saw this on Black Friday with the Chicago Bears, where both Swift and Monangai had massive games. Now, that might be something about Philadelphia. We'll see what the Chargers do against Philly. O'Marion Hampton is back this week. But I think that's the blueprint for Carolina. So it's possible for both of these running backs to have fantasy value. But Hubbard, we're back to Hubbard being the one that you want to have, which is just another example of the Cecil Lammey windows. For that last window, Dowdle might have gotten you this far, but if anyone's going to take you home from the Panthers backfield, it's going to be Chubbard.
I like it. Chuba, and a pound of yo sweet as Chiba for those that enjoy that there as well. Blake Corum, you talked about it on our recap show on Sunday, Bloom. There might be something coming with Blake Corum. Let's give him his proper due.
Yeah, and what we really like here is that Corum's playing well. The Rams defense is very productive, and Kyron Williams had an ankle injury. Now it sounds like Kyle Williams scored a touchdown. It's all starting to run together in week 14. Oh man, Kyron Williams, they said, his injury was easier to deal with because of the scar tissue. That's good. It wasn't a big deal because of the scar tissue in there. I don't like hearing about scar tissue in ankles in week 14, or week 13, week 14. So, this is kind of like Emmanuel Wilson, where we know now that we shouldn't be surprised if this injury, like the Josh Jacobs knee, if the Kyron Williams ankle becomes an issue. So Blake Corum has to be on a roster across leagues. And that's, I didn't rank every single backup running back, although I did the little exercise. If anyone wants to email me or hit me on Twitter, I can tell you what my backup running back rankings are. But I think Blake Corum's in the top 2 or 3, no matter how you cut it.
Yeah, he's definitely up there. And the way you look at it is, could he be a starter? With Blake Corum, the answer is not just but it's hell yeah. Okay, let's get down to the rest of these running backs.
Yeah.
And an interesting cluster, including guys like Devin Neal, who I appreciate, Bashal Tootin there as well. So we got a rookie running back cluster here. There's our ever conversation about Bam Knight. Okay.
And Michael Carter.
And here comes Jordan Mason. So a lot of these conversations we've had before. Malik Davis is a conversation we haven't really had. So let's start with Malik Davis and jump into the rest of these guys. We've talked Not to death, but we've
Yeah.
talked a lot about some of these situations.
You get it, folks. But I'm going to run down these backs for you. And the top of the next tier is Bashal Tootin, who got goal line carries on 2 drives, only scored on one of them. But then Grant Udinski said, "Yeah, Bashal Tootin's got that toughness, the power running that we like, lower body strength we like in short yardage. If he's the dedicated goal line back, then he becomes a what the heck flex, in addition to having that Travis Etienne injury upside. Remember, Etienne was wearing a non-contact jersey in practice a few weeks ago with a shoulder injury. Next up, I guess, and we're waiting, and there's a lot of stuff here that's going to depend on news we get, okay? I know someone brought up Devin Singletary in the chat room. I didn't add him to the waiver wire report yet from the Monday night game. He would probably be in this tier, as we can't tell week to week what the Giants are going to do. Mike Kafka with the backfield, but we saw even against the Patriots when they were getting blown out, there's some fantasy value there. Right now, it's Singletary. Next week, it could be Tracy. Well, not next week because they're on bye, but you get the point. Michael Carter, we're waiting to hear on Trey Benson. Michael Carter had 5 catches last week. We know that Jacoby Brissett's going to throw the ball 40, 45 times. And if it is that Trey Benson has setback, I think they have to activate him like pretty much in the next week or his season's over, and the season's already over for this team. So Michael Carter and Bam Knight. Bam Knight is a little bit higher. He has touchdowns in 3 straight weeks. He had 98 total yards last week. He's actually a useful running back. And then Michael Carter is especially useful in the passing game. So maybe if you have PPR, you might bump up Michael Carter a little bit, 0.5 PPR, non-PPR. But there's enough here, again, for both of these guys to be flex plays. Now we have a mishmash of guys. If you need someone this week, Devin Neal is a good pickup. If you need someone this week, Chris Rodriguez. And by the way, if Jaden Daniels comes back, now his speculative value goes up. If you need someone this week, maybe Jordan Mason, because Aaron Jones are saying he's going to be fine. I mean, how many times are we going to see him leave the game with a shoulder injury or something before they say, okay, we're going to let him rest? Again, this is a lost season. But it is a good matchup for Jordan Mason if he gets the start there. If you want some stash for your bench that could have upside, Malik Davis, one of the most important plays in the win over Kansas City on Thanksgiving was Malik Davis, that 40 whatever yard touchdown run. He looks live. You know, if Javonte Williams gets hurt, Malik Davis looks ready to roll behind a good offensive line and a very good offense. Samaje Perine came back to almost get half of the work in the backfield. Now with Joe Burrow, I'm interested in that 40%. 40% of the Bengals backfield in this offense with Joe Burrow, yeah, that could be pretty sweet. And if Chase Brown gets hurt, even sweeter. Let's talk about Nick Chubb as we wait to hear again. Woody Marks, foot injury, leaves the game, comes back. But I believe that D'Amico Ryan said something about Woody Marks making plays, playing on an injured foot. So now feet aren't quite like ankles. Ankles are the worst. You can play through an ankle right after it happens, and then later on in the week. This is why the Kyron Williams, Blake Corum one is important. But if Woody Marks can't play, Nick Chubb's at least a what the heck flex against Kansas City.
Oh, yeah.
And, so again, what is your window? Now, if your window is just, I have one roster spot and I want to take a big swing for upside, the bottom of the list here is Ray Davis, who had 9 carries for 62 yards. Ray Davis had 9 carries for 62 yards when James Cook had 32 carries. That's how much Buffalo likes to run the ball. So if James Cook goes down, you may have something there with Ray Davis, who showed last year in the one game that Cook missed. You can give Ray Davis 20-plus carries, and he's going to be fine. And then the other one is Keaton Mitchell. Justice Hill is on IR. Now, for whatever reason, Rasheen Ali, nice running back prospect out of Marshall. They kept him last year at cutdowns, even though he was hurt. He played like 40% of the snaps. What? Keaton Mitchell is one of the most, I'm sorry to Derrick Henry. Keaton Mitchell's the most explosive player in this offense. Sorry, Zay Flowers. See, they had a stat of how many times players have hit, running backs have hit 20 miles an hour on their carries. And the top players on the list hit it like 3 or 4 times, but on like 150 or something chances. Keaton Mitchell did it 3 times on like 20 chances.
Mm-hmm.
How can you not be he's playing he played 8 snaps last week. He touched the ball 4 times on those 8 snaps, had 31 total yards and a touchdown. How, with this offense, I sound like I'm talking about the Steelers right now. With this offense so morose right now, how can you not be making this guy a more important player in this offense? And then, of course, Derrick Henry's durable. What if Derrick Henry goes down? So Keaton Mitchell continues to intrigue me, Cease, because it's one where we're not seeing the rational coaching. But if you give this guy like 10 or 12, remember Antone Smith way back when like he would touch the ball like 4 or 5 times, but one of those would be a 60-yard touchdown. That could be Keaton Mitchell in the fantasy playoffs.
It could be, so keep an eye out on your waiver wire. It's upgrades, downgrades, and the waiver wire report. It's available at footballguys.com. It is written by Sigmund Bloom. Love that passion, Bloom. Love the number 14 for the Colts out there. I did talk to Brandon Stokely yesterday, and I was like, hey, you happy about Alec Pierce carrying on the tradition of your number? Because, Stokely Plus is what Alec Pierce is, and if he's out there, which, quite frankly, Bloom, I can't believe he would be out there, but 25 to 50% for him, and there's some others as well. But let's start with Alec Pierce.
Yeah, and again, folks, and I appreciate, hey, it's a chance for us to talk about players just whose value is changing. And I know just from, I look at the percentages in leagues like ESPN, Yahoo, and he could be out there. And I again, appreciate the folks tolerate us wide netting it on this show and in the report, because for the automated things that run off of this report, I want to make sure to tell people, hey, if Alec Pierce is out there, get him. Because there might be a few leagues where he is, because he only caught 1 pass against Kansas City. He caught 4 passes on 5 targets for a touchdown. He also drew a long pass interference on a 3rd and 19, and he broke up a Hail Mary. So just all in a day's work for Alec Pierce. But this is a really tough matchup against the Texans. And that was the one thing that was working. And Daniel Jones was hanging in and making those throws, and Alec Pierce was finishing those throws. That's galvanizing as Daniel Jones is trying to help the Colts not fade, somehow get a playoff berth out of this season where they're running out of gas. I think Alec Pierce is one of the main guys for that cause. And just think of him like Jameson Williams, basically. Now, not Jameson Williams without Amon-Ra St. Brown, but in any given week, he can make your week with that long touchdown. But like you said, Cease, actually, this is where the real intrigue is on the waiver wire, because there are a couple of names on the waiver wire this week that are out there in most leagues, if not all leagues.
Yes.
And they could end up being a savior for your team.
Well, you've talked about Tyler Shuck, not only on the show, but in the chat room. And who's one of his favorite targets? Devon Bailey there at 12 to 25%. A.D. Mitchell, 12 to 25% there as well. Healthy cluster. If Chris Godwin's out there, Pat Bryant is out snapping Troy Franklin.
Yeah.
So that's something to watch. Let's get this group of receivers out the way.
Yeah, Godwin is second, just in case he's out there. He should have been picked up already, but he had some big plays. He looked like Chris Godwin. Hey, he only had 3 catches for like 80 yards. And yes, Mike Evans is coming back. Yes, Jalen McMillan's coming back. But we know that Chris Godwin is the guy in the role that is set up for the most fantasy value. He was the number 3 overall fantasy wide receiver. Got hurt last year. Devon Bailey, and we got 2 different flavors here. Chris Olave is dealing with back spasms. Still playing, but what you saw, and Cecil, you were telling us about Vele in his rookie year in his first training camp as an undrafted free agent, and it's the length, and he's making professional catches. Tyler Shuck is going to throw the ball 35 or 40 times a game. If this connection now that is clicking with Vele, I mean, he could be a 6, 7, 8 catch a week guy. Certainly against Tampa Bay, I would plug him right in. Then you have Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell was just making so many plays. Look, we watched Adonai Mitchell last week, and you see the way he's adjusting to the ball, and you see his overall athleticism. The kid is special. I mean, he's got special ability. He's a first-round level draft pick in terms of talent. We know why he wasn't a first-round pick. He can outrun anybody, and Tyrod Taylor threw that deep ball. Mike Hughes fell down. We might see more of that, but we're also seeing him run crisp out cuts in his route and making catches at the sidelines. The professional, again, precision plays. Watch out for Adonai Mitchell. Going up against Miami this week, watch out. Adonai Mitchell could be a league winner if this connection is going strong. And Pat Bryant, I'm going to bring up because he's the deep threat. He's the downfield threat. And if you take his ability, now last week was only 3 catches on 7 targets, but previously, Bo Nix, I believe, had a really good passer rating throwing to Pat Bryant. His role is increasing, against Vegas this week. So, that's the other thing is you have these waiver wire pickups that you can plug right into your lineup because of the matchups this week.
Yeah, you can plug them in and play them in. Let's see what they can go. with Pat Bryant, it might take a little bit more time. They love the way he can block. And if Evan Ingram does more, Ingram's the canary in the coal mine about Franklin. If it's an Ingram week, it's not going to be a Franklin week. And if it's a Franklin week, it's not going to be an Ingram week. So we'll see how Bryant fits into that mix. Let's talk about the rest, including a couple of Lions, including Isaac Tesla, Tom Kennedy, Dontavian Wicks here as well. On Jalen Coker, of course, we talked about a lot. So there's the rest of your receivers.
Yeah, Jaden Higgins hasn't taken over yet truly as the full-time number 2 receiver, but he caught all 5 of his targets. He's been producing every week. If he gets an uptick in his role, then we're looking at him as a safe wide receiver 3 flex play. Jalen Coker's going into the bye, and it's tough to want to carry him through the bye, but he caught a long touchdown on 4th down. He caught the 3rd down pass that clinched the game. He's got trust. And I think defenses, you saw the last couple weeks, they're going to put a lot of coverage. They're going to take Tedero and McMillan away. Don't be surprised if Jalen Coker really peaks in the fantasy football playoffs. Isaac Tesla. Why not Isaac Tesla for 1 week? It's Dallas. Against Dallas, assuming Amon-Ra St. Brown is out. We also have Dontavian Wicks. It's a 1 week play. If Matthew Golden's back, I don't even know how good. We've seen Dontavian Wicks do this before. Dontavian Wicks can make some of the toughest plays for a wide receiver to make and botch some of the easiest plays. It's like, what are we going to get? It's like Devery Henderson, Troy Williamson, some guys you might remember in this mold. He made some magnificent plays. Now, he's playing outdoors against Chicago this week, but still, he could stay hot as that connection is definitely there after a wonderful show on Thanksgiving. And see, we're back to the point in the season now where players like Tom Kennedy, we're mentioning Tom Kennedy. Well, he's the possession receiver. He's the closest thing to Amon-Ra St. Brown. It is Dallas, and it wouldn't surprise me if he caught 6, 7, 8 balls in a high-scoring game on Thursday night.
Okay, it is Upgrades, Downgrades, Waiver Report. It's been 20 years doing this thing, and we appreciate each and every one of you out there for watching here on YouTube. Make sure to support all of our YouTube channels at Football Guys, and of course, listening to the Audible for 20 years. We got 3 sections left, got about 3 minutes to do it, so let's go, Bloom. Tight ends. Yes, tight ends up next.
Yeah, and let's just run these down because the tight end churn continues. And this is one of the more challenging things, but also fun things this year. On top, I'd say Dalton Schultz because he is that frequent target PPR leagues. Second, I'd say Harold Fannin because Shadur Sanders has eyes for him, and they had a wonderful play on the long touchdown. And Fannin's basically a full-time player now. Kyle Pitts, hey, Kirk Cousins remembered that he has length. He's a good possession target. Against Seattle, they're probably going to need him. Zach Ertz, massive week-winning game. Now, will Marcus Mariota throw 50 passes against Minnesota? Unlikely, but you know that he's a dependable target, whether it's Ertz from Mariota or from Daniels. Darren Waller's back. He almost scored a touchdown last week, had a couple of big plays. He's the guy that Tua Tagovailoa likes to look to in the red zone. Isaiah Likely, and since I wanted to put Likely higher on this list. And if Likely had just not fumbled the ball at the goal line, we probably would have had him at the top of the list, but it was Cincinnati. So that's what's tough to decipher here. Is Isaiah Likely emerging now that he's healthy, or is it just Cincinnati? We saw Hunter Henry have a 100-yard game against Cincinnati. Evan Ingram, like you mentioned, sees the Ingram Franklin indicator this week against Vegas. Maybe it'll be both. TJ Hawkinson, last guy on this list I'm going to mention, because when I think it was Joshua Dobbs or Nick Mullins, when Kevin O'Connell had to ease in a quarterback maybe who was a little overwhelmed, there was a lot more TJ Hawkinson. Guess who caught 6 passes last week? TJ Hawkinson. So as the Vikings are struggling on offense, the struggle target, it's not Justin Jefferson, although he's struggling in a different way. It's TJ Hawkinson.
Okay, and before we get to that next part, which we all know about, David did ask a question, just for clarity's sake, Bloom. When percentages are given, is that from original free agent bucks or what you have left?
Basically from original free agent bucks, but really, this is thanks, David, for the opportunity to say this. The percentages I use, you know better than I do how people bid in your league, what your league's culture and habits are with free agent bidding. The percentages are to give you priorities within a position and then compare across positions of how I would rank the players. Where to fix that bid is up to you, but it should give you an idea of how high of a priority they should be.
Okay, there we go. It is time for the audience participation, and you know what it is. And sorry that I got to speed it up, but it's time, Bloom, to cue the Chuck D. Who are you week 14 shut 'em downs?
Caleb Williams is playing a lot of games outdoors. I'm not really that interested in keeping him. Justin Herbert with the broken hand, maybe keeping him for Dallas in week 16, I think. Sam Darnold, if I had a choice between Darnold and Lawrence right now, or if I had to drop Sam Darnold as my number 2 quarterback to pick up somebody, yeah. Sean Tucker's just an injury upside backup. There might be better ones out there. Similarly with Kenneth Gainwell. Similarly with Aaron Jones. These are guys. We're to that point in the season now when we got a short plank. DJ Moore and Roma Dunze. Okay, 2 out of 3 weeks are going to be a bust. 1 out of 3 they're going to be a good play. You really want to mess with that in the fantasy playoffs with Chicago playing Green Bay, and Denver. Kimray DK, nah. DK Metcalf. I mean, not dropping him for just anybody, but I don't want to play any Steelers if I can help it. Similarly with Troy Franklin, in short bench leagues, Ricky Pearsall, it's not happening. You're not keeping it. You got to have a good case to keep someone through their bye. There's a better case to keep Jalen Coker through his bye than Ricky Pearsall. Mike Gesicki didn't quite work, even though Joe Burrow's back. And Rondé Gadsden, I just think that, again, that not only are the Chargers not going to have any ceiling out scenarios, I don't even think they're going to have median or mean scenarios going forward. I think you're going to see this as an offense that unfortunately is limping home with Justin Herbert having one good hand.
We've got the hand to hold on sometimes.
Yeah.
Who are those players?
I want to hold your hand. Khalil Shakir against Cincinnati this week, even though Khalil Shakir's been a bust 2 out of the last 3 weeks. If this turns into a shootout, he could absolutely be a player that you would regret dropping. Do not drop him. I wouldn't drop Trey Benson just yet. We're waiting for more news on that. Someone might say, do you drop Lamar Jackson? Don't do that sabotage drop, even though he sabotaged your team for the last 4 weeks. Hold on, even if it's just to keep him on your bench, teach him a lesson.
Yeah. All right. So we've got lessons to learn, and that's why we've got football to watch. And we're here with you, of course, during the week. On the Couch is back this week as well.
Yes.
Mike
Dempsey.
Thanksgiving break. Mike Dempsey coming up. So we've got it all for you. We want you to remind you to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. And check out footballguys.com. He's Sigmund Bloom. I'm Cecil Lammey. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty?